Welcome to the news on the hour on Providence Television International. I am Ugbebo Ikekwa. As activities of terrorists and bandits continue, leaving behind tears and blood, the Minority Caucus in the House of Representatives on Wednesday asked President Bola Tinubu to suspend all political activities related to the 2027 elections and announce a 6-month national security and economic recovery plan. The Reps Minority Leader, Fred Agbedi, on Wednesday in Abuja, stated that President Tinubu is focused on re-election politics rather than the safety and welfare of Nigerian citizens. He emphasized that the country is facing an unprecedented crisis marked by killings, kidnappings, economic hardship, and attempts to weaken opposition parties ahead of the 2027 elections. Senator Ireti Kingibe, the lawmaker representing the Federal Capital Territory in the Senate, has launched a scathing critique of the federal legislature, asserting that the National Assembly has fundamentally failed to execute its constitutional mandate to act as an effective check on the executive arm of government. The lawmaker warned that the development is undermining the institutional integrity of Nigeria's democratic governance. Kingibe further stated that the legislature has increasingly compromised its independence, transforming itself into a submissive, cooperating arm of the executive. She emphasized that instead of functioning as a rigorous, autonomous institution driven by the principles of legislative oversight, transparency, and fiscal accountability, the parliament has largely adopted a rubber stamp disposition toward policies originating from the presidency. Senator Kingibe also noted that by continuously passing executive requests without scrutiny, federal lawmakers have become complicit in governance failures currently driving public dissatisfaction across Nigeria. The presidential candidate of the Nigeria Democratic Congress for the 2027 election, Peter Obi, has declared that while his administration would prioritize dialogue and reconciliation, individuals or groups determined to undermine Nigeria's peace and stability would face decisive action under his leadership. Speaking on the persistent challenges of banditry, terrorism, kidnapping, and communal conflicts across the country, Obi emphasized that peace building must involve engagement with all stakeholders willing to embrace national unity. However, he stressed that government must also demonstrate strength against those who reject peaceful solutions. He further stated that his administration would create an environment where every Nigerian feels included and valued, while ensuring that those who choose violence are held accountable for their actions. Prominent human rights advocate Femi Falana has strongly condemned the federal and state governments for negotiating with and rewarding terrorists, stating that the practice is entirely illegal under Nigerian law. He noted that it is a grave offense to hold meetings or associate with criminals who have engaged in terrorist attacks or abduction of citizens, warning that it is not in the interest of national defense, public safety, public order, or public morality. He further declared that state governors lack the power to grant pardon to terrorists and bandits. The traditional ruler of Olayinka community of Kwara State, Oba Salman Aweda, has died in captivity despite the payment of 21 million naira ransom to his abductors. The monarch was abducted in May by kidnappers who later entered into negotiations with representatives of the community for his release. The incident has sparked renewed concerns over the high rate of insecurity across Kwara State and other regions of Nigeria, as community leaders and residents continue to express frustration over the increasing number of abductions targeting prominent individuals, traditional rulers, and the general public. Meanwhile, at least 30 traditional rulers across the southwestern and north-central regions of Nigeria, specifically in Kwara, Ondo, and Ekiti states, have fled their palaces following the violent surge of kidnappings and targeted attacks by armed bandits. In these districts where the monarchs have fled, farms and schools are deserted as residents have also relocated due to increasing levels of insecurity. The situation has sparked widespread outrage and socio-political tensions as Yoruba groups openly criticize state leadership over the handling of ransom demands and delays in rescue operations. The Nigeria Democratic Congress has introduced an anti-defection policy aimed at preventing elected officials from abandoning the party after winning elections. However, the party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, and running mate, Rabiu Kwankwaso, are exempt from the requirement. Unveiled on Tuesday at the party's National Secretariat in Abuja, the policy mandates governorship, National Assembly and other candidates to sign indemnity and affidavit forms pledging to vacate their seats if they defect from the party after the elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission has recognized Professor Sadiq Gombe as the national chairman of the Social Democratic Party, replacing the expelled former chieftain Shehu Gabam. The National Publicity Secretary, Rufus Ayenigba, disclosed this on Wednesday in Abuja, noting that the Electoral Commission has updated its records in compliance with the Supreme Court's judgment. The development marks a significant turn in the protracted leadership crisis that has rocked the opposition party in recent months. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has struck out a fresh appeal by the National Broadcasting Commission seeking to overturn a federal high court judgment restraining it from imposing fines on broadcast stations. The decision, delivered by a three-member panel of the appellate court, also aligns with an earlier ruling on April 3, 2026, in which the Court of Appeal dismissed a similar NBC appeal, affirming that regulatory agencies could not impose punitive fines on broadcasters, as only courts of law, not regulatory agencies, have the authority to impose fines for alleged criminal offenses. A statement by Media Rights Agenda on the ruling noted that the court in the latest judgment held that NBC's notice of appeal was fundamentally defective. It further described the notice as incompetent, stripping the court of jurisdiction to hear the case. Former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Diezani Alison Madueke, was on Wednesday acquitted by a London jury of 6 bribery charges. Alison Madueke, who was a minister under President Goodluck Jonathan and briefly president of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, was charged with 5 counts of accepting bribes and a charge of conspiracy to commit bribery, which she denied. After a trial at London's Southwark Crown Court, she was acquitted by a jury of all 6 charges after 46 hours of deliberation, bringing an end to a 10-year allegation of corrupt practices. More than 2 years after its commissioning, Nigeria's official vice presidential residence in Abuja remains unoccupied, raising fresh questions about public spending and the necessity of such multi-billion naira projects. Despite rising inflation and increasing hardship across the country, the federal government's approval of fresh funding for the completion and renovation of the residence attracted widespread criticisms from Nigerians. The estimated cost of completion of the residence is over 21 billion naira. Former Eagles captain Sunday Oliseh has characterized Lionel Messi's extraordinary performance in Argentina's opener in the 2026 FIFA World Cup as surpassing conventional football. Oliseh, while insisting that Messi has evolved into an artificial intelligence version of himself, stated that the Argentine star's capacity to maintain dominance at such high levels at his age is unprecedented in the history of football. Messi delivered an exceptional performance as Argentina commenced their World Cup title defense with a 3-0 win over Algeria, netting a hat-trick in a match that occurred few days to his 39th birthday. Cristiano Ronaldo has become the oldest outfield player in FIFA World Cup history after starting for Portugal against the Democratic Republic of Congo on Tuesday, June 17th. He broke the previous record held by former Canada international Atiba Hutchinson, who started the game between Canada and Belgium at the 2022 World Cup aged 39. Ronaldo made history as he began his sixth World Cup appearance, a record he shares with Argentina's Lionel Messi and Mexico goalkeeper Guillermo Ochoa. Ronaldo remains the only player to score in 5 consecutive World Cups. And now to the weather report. The weather forecast for Friday, 19th June. In Abuja, there will be scattered thunderstorms with a temperature of 29 degrees Celsius. In Lagos, there will be thunder showers with a temperature of 27 degrees. In Benin and Port Harcourt, there will be heavy thunderstorms with temperatures of 30 degrees Celsius, Benin, and 28 degrees Port Harcourt. In Kaduna and Enugu, there will be scattered thunderstorms with temperatures of 32 degrees Kaduna and 30 degrees Enugu. In Sokoto, it will be sunny with a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. In Washington, it will be partly sunny with a temperature of 27 degrees. In London, it will be sunny with a temperature of 28 degrees. And in Johannesburg, it will be mostly cloudy with a temperature of 17 degrees Celsius. And in Rome, it will be sunny with a temperature of 34 degrees. In Paris, it will be partly sunny with a temperature of 35 degrees. And to the exchange rates, 1 United States dollar, its equivalent in naira is 1,373, 1 euro, 1,573, 1 British pound, 1,814. The Canadian dollar presently stands at 971 naira and the Australian dollar 961 naira. And that's the news on the hour on Providence Television International. Thanks for watching. Please stay tuned.